Almost 200 friends and family members of ISIS-held captive Muath al-Qasesba march outside Jordan's Prime Minister office. They are asking for Jordan to meet Islamic State demands. Jordan convicted bomber Sashida al-Rishawi for the release of Qasesba. A government spokesman, Mohammed al-Mamani, says that Jordan is not giving up their prisoner just yet.
At this point, we want to emphasize that we have asked for a proof of life from Daesh, and we have not received anything as of yet. We need a proof of life so we can proceed with what we announced yesterday regarding the exchange between Sajid al-Rishawi and the Jordanian pilot.
ISIS has given another 24-hour deadline for the prisoner swap. Another Islamic State-held captive, Japanese citizen Kenji Goto, seems to no longer be part of the newest arrangement. Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe says that the country will not give in to terrorism. Abe says that the government is doing everything possible to ensure the release of Goto. Now a deadline looms for Jordan and Japan as every moment becomes critical. A new leaked document shows North Korea's preconditions for talks with the South. Former South Korean President Lee Myung-bak is releasing a book about his presidency from 2008 to 2013. In the book, Lee writes about requests sent from the North in order to hold a summit in 2009. The country asked for $10 billion in cash and 500 million tons of food. Lee said that if he refused, calling the demands a standardized summit bill, he wrote that all demands in return for talks were rejected. Lee says we shouldn't be haggling for a summit. Both current leaders of North and South Korea have said earlier this year they are open to discussions, but a meeting has yet to be scheduled. Almost a year has passed since the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 went missing. An official ruling has finally been made into the investigation. Malaysian government officials have declared the fatal crash an accident. All 239 people on board the aircraft are now presumed dead. This declaration by the government is a hope to help ease the bereavement of victims' families. Malaysian Airlines says that they are now working hard to provide compensation. The Malaysian Transport Minister says the announcement has no bearing on the search operations. The search for MH370 will continue. Many family members are dissatisfied with the ruling. One man whose brother was on the flight says they have found nothing. With nothing found, how can they make any announcement? Peace may finally come between Israel and Hezbollah. The UN peacekeeping force in Lebanon has sent a message to Israel that the group is no longer seeking out further escalation. Israel wrote back saying that it will make do with what happened yesterday and it does not want the battle to expand. Tensions between the two had increased since airstrikes on Syria killed 6 Hezbollah fighters earlier this month. Israel's defense minister Moshe Yaalon says, "I can't say whether the events are behind us. Until the area completely calms down, the Israel Defense Forces will remain prepared and ready."
We did not come here to take over institutions and to enjoy the trappings of power. We have come to radically change the way in which politics and governance is carried out in this country.
Greek Prime Minister Alex Tsipras has a big task ahead of him as the country's economy continues its decline. Tsipras shook up international creditors after announcing a halt on privatization plans that were part of Greece's bailout deal. This only led to a larger decline on the markets. Only 3 days after Tsipras was sworn in, borrowing costs reached a high of 17%. Athens Stock Exchange fell another 7%, and bank shares were down 22%. A new leak from Edward Snowden's notorious files shows Canada's spy power. For more details, we turn to Gary Franchi.
Thanks, Mandy. New reports from the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation show that the country intercepts nearly 12 million file downloads a day. And that's according to Snowden's files. Canada is doing this as a bid to counter extremists. Canada's Communications Security Establishment finds over 350 so-called interesting download events every month. The CSE is similar to the NSA in which they monitor electronic communication data. Snowden's documents say that nearly 10 to 15 million uploads have been viewed, including personal videos and music downloads. The government watchdog that monitors the CSE has called for better procedures for handling private information. Critics of the group say that the capabilities are too powerful and they're fearful that it may be abused.
The Coast Guard is frantically searching for 40 missing people off the shore of Bangladesh. A group of migrants were making their way from Bangladesh to Malaysia when their boat capsized. Over 70 people fell into sea after the wooden boat began to sink. The Coast Guard was able to reach 33, but 40 people are still unaccounted for. According to officials, the migrants were making their way to pirates who promised them work. This is not uncommon as many migrants turn to smuggling gangs for transport between Bangladesh and Myanmar. A warning rings out in the Winnipeg over water. The Canadian city is under a boil advisory after the water supply was found to have dangerous bacteria. Officials are asking residents to boil water before cooking, brushing their teeth, and drinking. The Winnipeg Regional Health Authority says that the advisory is just being used as a precautionary measure. Deadly bacteria, including E. coli, was found in 6 out of 39 water samples. Schools in the area were asking students to bring their own water bottles, and some businesses have even shut down. The city is continuing to test the water and expects new results soon.